welcome everybody to the Daily Space Weather. I'm your host Dan, aka smAsho. We're starting things out looking at the sun in 304 angstroms. Large active region in the northeast there, trailing sunspot 2768. Sunspot 2767 down there in the southwest. Moving into a setting mode. We don't see any significant coronal mass ejections or solar flares or anything like that. Let's break it down. Next, we'll take a look at helioviewer.org. Let me close that. Here are the fields. And yeah, those are both alpha class sunspots. They're looking pretty weak right now. In fact, sunspot 2768 is almost evaporated entirely. There's the 304 angstroms view. A bunch of filamentary activity going on. And before we move on, let me just check the life of the stream. And the stream is looking good. We've got some interesting cosmology stories to talk about, including a solar event. Don't worry, it hasn't happened recently. Next, looking at the southern region here, we see an active region right sort of in the Earth-facing zone, and a decent-sized filament down there in the southeast, and a good view of sunspot 2767. Next, 304 angstroms in the exact same area. By the way, the track you're hearing right now is called La Tour de Chance, and we'll show you where that's available if you want to hear it in full spectrum glory later in the video. Here's the northern region, a great view of sunspot 2768, which again is degrading now. It'll probably, it could lose its sunspot classification today as the umbrae are very small. So there's a great view of both sunspot 2768, the active plage region behind it, and the north solar polar region. 10.7 centimeter radio flux is at 73. And there's a graph of that. Last time it was over 90 was back in 2017, as we ramp back up during cycle 25. The KP index, which is a global measurement of geomagnetism, has been at 1 for the past 9 hours. And here's the 3 days of X-ray flux graph from the GOES 16, and you can see no significant solar flaring, although a little more activity than we've seen recently, since we have 2 sunspots in the Earth-facing zone, and no big moves in the proton flux there, no surprises there. Next, we're going to look at the real-time solar wind. And we see the BT/BZ are diverging right as I speak. So that is significant. Let's check out what the stats are here. So the BT is at 5. That's the total field strength of the sun's field. It's really 2 fields. And the Z component is at -4, indicating south pole magnetism increasing in strength. It could indicate another heliospheric current sheet polarity crossing. We'll take a look at it in a moment. We did see some recent shifts in the phi angle. That looks like a coronal hole magnetic connection there, a fleeting one. Current solar wind density, just under 6 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed 342 kilometers a second. And just so you know, every time I do show prep, just looking at this, the Geospace Magnetosphere movie, gives me some idea of what the solar wind is likely doing. Anyway, here's 4 hours of data courtesy University of Michigan. And next we're going to go a little closer to home and look at ground magnetic perturbations. And here are those. During this polar excursion, you've got 2 geomagnetic north poles, one over Canada, one over Siberia. And the South Pole has left Antarctica, and it's somewhere down here. Somewhere down there south of Australia. And there's 4 hours of data. We don't see a whole lot of magnetic perturbations here. There's not a whole lot of induction caused by incoming solar protons or huge changes in magnetism. And welcome to another Smash Light segment. Today we're going to be talking about, well, various things, starting out with some economic stuff. So, markets are expected to open higher today with big tech leading the way. Apple has announced a 4-for-1 stock split. Jeff Bezos has a big smile on his face as the pandemic has increased his net worth significantly by probably several $billion. Alphabet reports first decline in revenue in company history. Oh yeah, Sundar's not looking quite as happy as Jeff Bezos there. And Apple up 4.6%, Amazon up 0.6% on the news. And as our regular viewers are probably well aware, big tech, you can't break the internet, but the internet can break you. Just so you know. So, again, Alphabet reports its first revenue decline in company history. And obviously, I've got some serious opinions about Google and Alphabet and YouTube and Motorola and all the companies that they've bought up and essentially ruined in order to quell competition in the marketplace. Talk about a monopoly. Revenue, $38.3 billion. YouTube advertising revenue, $3.81 billion. About 10% of their entire revenue. Check it out, they had a substantial decline there in ad revenue growth. As a result of customer pullbacks amid COVID-19 pandemic and general maturing ad market, Alphabet itself cut marketing spending by half and instituted hiring freezes. I guess they're probably hiring a bunch of attorneys as opposed to hiring coders to try to get out of the way of their own crippling liability and fraud. Poor Sundar. Maybe he's having a bad day. Turns out Sundar dodged the question about whether or not conservative websites are blacklisted. Now, our website isn't particularly conservative. In fact, upon filling out a very, very extensive survey, we've noted that I'm actually slightly left of center, especially in terms of, I guess you'd say, social issues. And I'm well on the libertarian side in terms of authoritarian government versus minimalist government. I'm what you call a minarchist, which is somewhere between an anarchist and a libertarian, I guess. Anyway, Google, well known for blacklisting conservative websites and doing things like adding a political bias to their operations. Anyway, Sundar, who is basically a figurehead for Google now, as Larry Page and Sergey Brin still own a controlling share of the company's capital stock. That's Alphabet, by the way, parent company of Google. Anyway, it's very well known, and it's probably part of the reason why our channel doesn't get over 1,660 subscribers or something like that. We've actually been bleeding subscribers as opposed to gaining subscribers, despite putting up all kinds of new varied content. Sundar will have to look into it. Again, Sundar does not own a controlling share of the stock. So last year, when Larry Page and Sergey Brin announced that they're leaving Google, well, they could still be running Google. We ultimately have no idea what goes on their board, and what a horrifying board that is. Now, have you ever seen all three of these guys in the same place? Let me just tell you about some of the creepiest people on the internet. Larry Page, Sundar Pichai, and can anybody identify that guy? I have no idea who this guy is. But this guy here, probably the creepiest man in the history of tech, possibly in the history of all business, that's Eric Schmidt. And I'll bet these three dudes are never going to be in the same room again, as they'll be afraid of a drone strike. Let's talk about the Pentagon and its off-world vehicles. Now, frankly, I don't believe it, as we don't see any sign of extraterrestrial life. However, Pentagons on and off again once covert UFO program is decidedly back on. Now, I have theories about this. I think that these craft were built by humans, possibly millions of years ago, probably unearthed at an archaeological site, and reverse engineered. What the Pentagon actually said, an astrophysicist who consulted on the UFO program confirms the government possesses materials from, quote, off-world vehicles not made on this Earth. And of course, this is in response to the infamous Tic Tac videos. And they're all over the internet. Of course, people like Bob Lazar claims to have worked on these. And again, is there any indication that they come from someplace besides Earth? Well, not really. I don't believe it. And just because you see a material that you don't know how to make does not necessarily mean that it came from outer space. In any case, for example, the Roswell crash could have spawned inventions of things like mylar and solid-state circuitry. However, does that mean that the Russians did not invent mylar and solid-state circuitry before the U.S.? Who knows? The point is, I think the government is operating these vehicles in the first place, and it's probably just become too obvious to keep it hidden anymore. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. Now, let's talk about smashomash.com/forum. It's wildly successful, and thanks everybody for creating logins over there, up to 1,356 now. And just a heads up to Connors FX, who wants to bring some science into the discussion about COVIDiots. We actually have a 30-plus page section on coronavirus. It started on January 23rd with me saying, is it dangerous? Not particularly for healthy people. Yeah. Was I wrong? Please leave a comment if you think I was wrong. And I didn't move those comments, Connors FX, but in the future, if you want to put up real information, put it over on the coronavirus section. This section is for COVIDiots, such as Dr. Fauci, Tom Wolfe, Police Chief from Lehigh Township, Scott Fogel, and other COVIDiots, such as this guy who's using some sort of I think it's a non-electrified cattle prod device or something, to, I don't know, convince people to wear masks or something really, really COVIDiotic. Anyway, check it out, smashomash.com/forum. One of the things that Connor FX put up is an article from 2005 from PubMed.gov about how chloroquine is a potent inhibitor of SARS coronavirus infection and spread. And we're not talking about SARS-CoV-2, we're talking about SARS-CoV. And that is why I created a video back on March 19th. Yeah, March 19th. Now, you won't find it on YouTube. It's only on BitChute because YouTube, of course, immediately demonetized the video. So we took it down from YouTube since that'll bury it in the search algorithm and cause nobody to be able to see it. Here's a clip. It's bitchute.com/smashomash. Who are sabotaging themselves and marveling at that. It just makes you want to open up an extra beer and... You know, because what you don't want is a vaccine, but what you do want is a cure. So in any case, check that out. COVID-19, the disease caused by coronavirus, cured via hydroxychloroquine. Now, we are streaming live to Twitch. It's twitch.tv/smashomash. If you haven't subscribed there, please do, especially if you want to see the videos live. If you're viewing on YouTube, please press like and subscribe. Check out our playlists if you haven't, as we're putting out all kinds of more diverse types of videos. Thanks everybody who enjoys the nature driving videos, pro driving tips, etc. And again, there's the BitChute page. Look for an exclusive coming out soon to celebrate 200 subscribers over there on BitChute. By the way, every day our videos see hundreds more views on BitChute, and I'm sure it's totally not censorship. Totally not censorship. It's just a mysterious coincidence that the second largest search engine in the world, which is YouTube, second only to Google's junkware search engine, mysteriously has our channel buried in search algorithms. Isn't that sweet? And since Google/YouTube buries us in search, please consider becoming a patron. We've recently added a bunch of new membership levels, all the way from $1 to $15 a month. Patreons are the real source of funding for the content, as Google AdSense tries its best to make sure we're paid absolutely nothing. Actually, we make about 2 cents per hour or so on YouTube. Google Junkware AdSense ad revenue. Yeah, what a joke. You're seeing ads, and that may think that it's causing us to get paid, and it's basically not. I don't think we've had a payout since February, actually. We also are on Subscribestar, and please visit the other links below the video. Let's talk about COVID-19 and how it's made in China. 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 For you again. See ya. What's in your immune system? By the way, if you saw yesterday's video, you notice I got a little bit unhinged about Dr. Fauci because I think he's an idiot. And I think that he has financial interests in vaccinations and all sorts of other things that make him a terrible spokesperson, yet every news agency wants to talk to him. Even AccuWeather's News picked up a story about him, how he suggests new gear for complete COVID-19 protection. Now, since I like to think things through to their logical conclusion, what I would like to do is rip out all the seats in cars, because I spend a lot of time driving, and just wear a full astronaut suit while sitting on a small stool. That would be just great. That way I could just wear a shirt over my astronaut suit that says, please cough on me, and then, you know, everything will be fine. Everybody can just be fast and loose with their coughing. And frankly, I don't care anyway, because, again, as I said back in January, it's not dangerous for healthy people, and the mortality rate is less than 0.1%. Also, AccuWeather is talking about how SARS-CoV-2 is racist. Again, yesterday I had some, let's say, disparaging things to say about the good doctor. Apparently Dr. Fauci said some smart things to CNN yesterday. I don't know if he was just trying to make him mad.
Dr. Fauci, before we let you go, let's get one more question.
Apparently, Sanjay Gupta and Anderson Cooper had a chat with him yesterday. Let's hear what happens.
This is from Scott in Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania. He sent in a video. Take a look.
Oh, here's Scott from Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania. He sent in a video. Let's mute CNN's junkware.
The entire country down for a few weeks in order to get a grip on this virus and stop it from spreading?
Should we lock the entire country down for the next few weeks to keep this virus from spreading? By the way, I don't know if you're aware, dogs and cats. The first dog recently died from SARS-CoV-2 or COVID-19 or whatever you'd like to call it. Anyway, Fauci says no, and we don't usually include Breitbart links because people will lose their you-know-what over it. But that's where the story was picked up. So, Fauci, I don't think we need to go lock down again. Wow. Fauci actually said something that I agree with. What a douche. By the way, if you've got anybody in the hospital that you care about, if you know a lot more about physiology, anatomy, medicine, biology, health, athletic performance, etc., consider becoming a patient advocate. Why is this? It's because people typically don't know their rights, and if you know their rights, such as HIPAA and stuff like that, become a patient advocate. Hospitals typically will have a form that you fill out, and this will allow them to discuss medical information directly with you. This is especially good for the elderly and for the young and people who don't really understand that much about medicine, healthcare, etc. Help somebody out, become a patient advocate. And by the way, you can even get a job doing it. Of course, a police record check is standard, and I have a long, long history of having access to people's medical records, having worked in the insurance industry as well as in a medical records department at a hospital. I'm sort of an authority on things like HIPAA and medical paperwork and medical records, etc. I spent about 2 years doing that at Lehigh Valley Health Network. So anyway, consider becoming a patient advocate if somebody you know is having problems with their health, perhaps you can help them, as a lot of times patient advocates ask doctors, have you tried this? And doctors go, I never thought of that. Ohio's recently withdrawn a ban on hydroxychloroquine. Why they had a ban on a 60-year-old well-established drug used to fight malaria all over the world, and it's, by the way, very, very successful at that. Oops, Fauci accused of misinformation campaign. Could you imagine? I can't imagine why Fauci wouldn't want a cure to SARS-CoV-2, the virus responsible for COVID-19. Oh, wait, he's a vaccine specialist. What's that? When you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail? UK academics advocate silencing dissent on climate change and COVID-19. So for all of you US viewers, remember, while your constitution's being eroded, in places like the UK, there is no First Amendment. You can be fined and thrown in jail for simply saying things. What say you on the current erosion of your rights? Now, the song we were playing earlier, it's this song, Le Tour de Chance. Le Tour de Chance, and there are 15 tracks there. It's soundclick.com/GoldenCat Productions. Just type that in. And you see our highest ranking song here is Molybdenum 99, a track named for Smash staff. And shout out to Smash staff for working hard on the website. So, molybdenum 99 is an isotopic state of the element molybdenum. And thanks again, Smash staff, for beefing up the website here. We've got all the social media links, as well as links to the Teespring store with the Smash apparel, the forum, and the affiliate link. On the affiliate link is only one item. We're going to add a second item today. It's a secret what that will be. We'll announce that at a later time. We've only listed one item, a pulse oximeter, the Zacurate Pro Series 500DL. Please consider purchasing this to help support us in that way. It'll also help to support your health, as this is one of the most important measurements of your health. So you want to measure things like pulse, blood pressure, respiration rate, and blood oxygen. Now this one includes AAA batteries. It takes 2 of them. Try out the Zacurate Pro Series 500DL via our link and improve your health. Mess around with this, see what happens to your blood oxygen level. We'll be doing some testing on it later. And if you want to do the same tests on yourself, testing masks, etc., consider purchasing that blood oxygen saturation monitor. Now today I'm wearing the Golden Cat Productions shirt, which I made quite a long time ago. Golden Cat Productions. We don't sell the shirts right now. We may in the future, especially if people start listening to the music. But I do own one of these shirts, Smasher Price My First Pandemic. It's available in various colors. We've also made the I've Survived a Global Pandemic So Far shirt, featuring the Grim Reaper and a planetary-sized coronavirus. There's the Teespring shop. You can get leggings, colored shirts. The Smash Survived shirt comes in, I think, 3 colors, black, gold, and purple. That's our team colors, by the way. Let's talk about an extreme space weather event. So in 1903, there was an extreme outburst from a quiet sun at a solar minimum. So in any case, we're going to add this to smashamash.com/forum, as we have a forum specifically about the sun, and one of the items in there is solar events. So we'll be putting that in at a later time. If anybody wants to do that for us, feel free. Let's talk about supernova 1987. Some interesting articles all over the Science Wire about this today. So here's a composite image of the supernova remnant 1987. And guess what, folks? Guess what? There's a star in there. Isn't that amazing? Is it a pulsar? Nope. Is it a black hole? Nope. Do they think it's a neutron star? Yep. So there you can see the X-ray image. Here's the visible image. And there you can see the radio image, which is probably the most important. And there's what's going on. You see that bright blob in there? Well, that's believed to be a neutron star. Now, I prefer to refer to it as a massive radio source. But an interesting article has appeared all over the Astronomy Wire today. You'll find it on SciTech Daily, as well as on phys.org's Astronomy and Space section. The 33-year-old mystery surrounding supernova 1987A. Now, why don't we see a bunch of heavy elements out there? Well, it's because stars do not behave the way classical astronomy believes that they do. When a supernoval explosion happens, the star doesn't die. We've never seen a star die or get born, and here's more evidence to back up what I've been saying for years and indeed decades. So, we were very surprised to see this warm blob made by a thick cloud of dust in the supernova remnant. There has to be something in the cloud that has heated up the dust, which makes it shine, which we call a star. Or you could just say a massive radio source. I don't know. In any case, read the article on phys.org if you like. And again, it's all over the Science Wire. If you need to reach us for any reason, consider reaching us via the smAsho VoIP line. We've created it just to make your lives a little bit easier and to create call-in shows, which will be coming at a later time, especially this winter. If you need to reach us, you can reach us via text message or phone call at the smAsho VoIP line. It's country code 1, area code 610-936-9799. That's country code 1, area code 610-936-9799. And thanks for tuning in to another episode of Smashlights, part of the Daily Space Weather right now. We will have some additional Smashlights coming out by themselves in the future, and we'll probably make individual thumbnails for that. Again, check out the rest of the playlists at youtube.com/smashomash/playlists. And allow me to vanish as this section is now complete. Alright, and I'm back. And let's get back to some more space data. The GOES magnetometer is very spiky and it's all over the place. And you're going to see some big changes going on with that are going to continue, actually. So first of all, here is the top view ecliptic plane field plot. This is part of the National Sunspot Observatory's Gong 2 data. And you're seeing a bunch of potential field force lines here. The North Pole polarity field lines are shown in green, South Pole polarity field lines shown in red. And you see some major changes in between stereo A and the Earth right now. And it's causing massive changes in the B field. And that all has to do with that giant plage trailing that sunspot 2768. There could be another sunspot back there. We're going to keep you in suspense about that. Next, looking at the line of sight field plot to show you the big changes in the B field that are happening. And these are going to get more and more extreme as we ramp up to solar maximum. So fasten your seatbelts. It could be a wild ride. We'll be covering it. And we've got a 5-year plan, by the way. Here's the 1-year graph of the relativistic electron flux. And we finally come off of this extremely odd flatlined area here. And the Van Allen belts are a little more normal now. Here's the 3-day electron flux. And this includes greater than or equal to 2 mega electron volts. Nothing too exciting happening there. We haven't seen warning levels for quite a long time. And let's take a look at the air column, the entire air column, via the total electron content forecast. Everything's pretty normal up there. Nothing too exciting. If you're around the equator around noontime, expect to see some GPS errors, but not out of the ordinary ones. No big anomalies happening there. And let's take a look at just one layer of the atmosphere. How about the ionosphere? There's 6 hours of data courtesy of Government of Australia, Bureau of Meteorology. Ionosphere looking pretty normal today. Here's the latest image. That one is from 8:15 Universal Time. Here's where stuff is in the solar system as Mercury makes its way around the other side of the sun, breaking the pattern of all the planets on one side of the sun in about 7 days. There's where things will be in 7 days, God willing. And next, let's look up where I'm located. This is what the stars would look like if I were outside. I'd be able to see Jupiter just setting, Saturn, Mars high in the sky, and Venus, the 3rd brightest object we see. Today's featured object is massive X-ray binary Deneb, which is, by the way, the most intrinsically bright object visible from our solar system. It's not the brightest star in the sky, it's the most intrinsically bright object. Deneb, the tail of the swan, the star at which Göbekli Tepe and various other megalithic sites are oriented. Why? Well, we're not going to tell you today because it's not a cosmology segment. Next, looking at earthquakes. And we see a bit of an uptick here in both earthquakes and volcanoes. Let's go up the list. And thanks for letting us know yesterday, Smash staff, about the 4.2 at Pacoima, California. Caused everybody to freak out, and I said, big deal. An earthquake by LA, big deal. So there we see some aftershocks associated with that also. And just making our way up the list here. I believe the largest of the past 24 was this 5.7 at Tonga. So nothing over a 6 magnitude, folks. There's a very deep quake at the Mariana Islands, near the deepest portion of the entire ocean. It's a 4.1 magnitude at great depth, 445 kilometers. Looks like a small Cascadia quake there at Washington. Next, looking at volcanoes, and we see a whole bunch more stuff on the list. Let's break it down. Abiko, flight level 090 there, as it's producing a giant plume of ash. Nishinoshima exploding, 19,000 foot ash plume there. Suwanosejima produced a 6,000 foot ash plume. Ibo down in Indonesia exploding. Flight level 060 there, 6,000 feet. Dakono, flight level 7,000 feet there. Flight level 070. Mauna Loa back on the list as it continues to expand. Continued summit inflation consistent with magma supply to the volcano's shallow storage system. And we see regularly earthquakes that we report daily, all the time underneath Mauna Loa. If you see an earthquake on Hawaii at a depth of negative 1,300 meters or something like that, that's a magmatic quake in the magma chambers of Mauna Loa, most likely. Makushan